Hello and welcome to my predictions video for game week 1 of the new Premier League season. So in this video, I'm going to run through a few facts, a few match stats, head-to-head stats of each team that are facing each other. And then I'm going to give you my prediction for the score for the weekend. Just a little bit of fun. Let me know your predictions for all the matches in the Premier League this weekend in the comment section down below. And without any further ado, we'll get straight into it. So we start off on Friday night football, Sky Sports, 8 o'clock if you want to watch it. Brentford against Arsenal. Brentford and Arsenal, this is their first league meeting since 1947. Arsenal won that one 1-0 at Griffin Park. It's quite a long time. I think it's 74 years or something since Brentford were in the top tier of English football. There's only been one meeting since 1947, and that was in the Carabao Cup, which Arsenal won by 3-1. Brentford last beat Arsenal on the 18th of April 1938, so pre-World War II, a day where Superman first appeared in the very first issue of DC's Action Comics. Brentford ended last season well, only losing once in their last 7 league matches, including the Championship playoffs. Arsenal won their final 5 league games last season, and I think that might continue into this season, but we'll get there in a second. Now, Brentford are always capable of scoring goals, as shown by their record of scoring at least 2 in 4 of their last 5 league games, but the Premier League is it's a different kettle of fish compared to the Championship, isn't it? So if you can score goals in the Championship, great, but it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be able to do as well in the Premier League. So I've got Brentford, unfortunately, losing their return game to the top tier of English football by 2-1. I think Brentford might take the lead, give the fans a bit of a buzz, but Arsenal will equalise quite quickly and go on and win. Next up, we have the Saturday lunchtime kickoff. It's live on BT Sport at 12:30 p.m. It's Manchester United against Leeds United. Big rivalry, this one. Yorkshire against Lancashire, of course. And Old Trafford could see their first bit of action for Jadon Sancho in a Man United kit in this opening day clash. But one player that they won't be seeing is Marcus Rashford, who's unfortunately out injured with a shoulder injury until around November, they reckon. Now, Manchester United have won 3 of their last 5 league games against Leeds, drawing the other 2. And the last time Leeds beat Man United was in the 3rd round of the FA Cup in 2010 by 1-0. I think Jermaine Beckford was the man that got the goal in that match. Leeds have won by 1-0 in each of their last 3 victories against the Red Devils. But Manchester United won this fixture quite easily, 6-2 last season. And I think this could be another high-scoring game this season. The way that Leeds play generally means there's going to be goals for both sides. Of course, Leeds are very much a pressing team, and they do go for it in every single game. They've got some stick for it last season for just going for it regardless of who they're coming up against. But I quite like the way they play. But that, of course, does mean that there's gaps at the back, which Manchester United will probably be able to find, especially with the pace of Sancho if he is to start. So I've got this one down as being a 3-2 victory for Manchester United. I think there's going to be lots of goals in this one, so it's definitely one to watch this weekend. Now for the 3 o'clock kickoffs. 3 o'clock kickoffs are back this season. Of course, fans are back, therefore the 3 o'clock embargo is back too, so none of these are televised. You'll have to watch Soccer Saturday or Final Score to find out the scores in these ones as they happen, but of course it'll be on Match of the Day. I don't know why I'm being a walking advertisement for all the TV stations today, but we'll move on. So Burnley against Brighton is the first 3 o'clock kickoff of this season, and both matches between these two teams last season ended in a draw. In fact, 15 of their 37 matches that they've played against each other have ended in a draw, with each team sharing just 11 victories apiece. Burnley won the last time they were at home for the opening day of the season, beating Southampton by 3-0. And Brighton also won their last opening day game away from home that same season, beating Watford by 3-0. But in this one, I think it's going to be a very dull affair. I think it's going to be 0-0. I don't think Burnley are going to do too great this season. I think Brighton will do a bit better than Burnley, but it's got a draw written all over it, in my opinion. Next, we head to Stamford Bridge for Patrick Vieira's first game in charge of Crystal Palace. It's Chelsea against Crystal Palace, another 3 o'clock kickoff on Saturday. Now, Chelsea scored 4 in both matches against Palace last season. Could that be a sign of things to come this season? We'll have to wait and see. But Palace's new manager, Patrick Vieira, has never lost to Chelsea as a player. Is that going to continue as a manager? Chelsea have won the last 7 meetings between the two clubs, and the last 3 matches that Palace have won against Chelsea all ended by 2-1. Chelsea have lost their opening match of the season in 2 of the last 4 Premier League seasons, whereas Palace are unbeaten in their last 3 opening matches, winning 2 and drawing 1. Now, Chelsea are going to be on somewhat of a high after lifting the European Super Cup midweek against Villarreal on penalties, and I think, especially if Lukaku manages to somehow sign before this game, well, even if he doesn't, I think Chelsea have got this. I think it's going to be 3-1 to Chelsea. Not a great start for Patrick Vieira in charge of Palace. But as I said in my season prediction video, which you can see up here somewhere, I think this is going to be a season of rebuilding and Vieira basically just making his mark on his new team. Next up on the 3 o'clock kickoffs, we have Everton against Southampton. Rafa Benitez says Everton against Southampton. Now, these sides shared home victories last season, with Everton winning 1-0 at Goodison and Southampton winning 2-0 at home. Rafa is unbeaten in 4 home top flight matches against Southampton with 3 wins and a draw, whereas Southampton haven't won at Goodison since the 2nd of November 1997, where goals from Matt Le Tissier and Kevin Davies gave the Saints a 2-0 win. A long time ago, that one. Everton ended last season pretty poorly with just 3 wins in their final 10 league games, but Southampton didn't end the season much better with just 2 wins in their last 8 league games. And I've got this one as being a 2-0 victory for Everton. I can't see where Southampton are going to get goals from after Danny Ings' departure. I know that they've just signed Adam Armstrong from Blackburn. He's a very good player. He's quite local to where I was born, actually, West Denton. In the West End in Newcastle. I was born just over the river, but I don't know what that's got to do with anything. He's not got much Premier League experience. I think he's played 15 times in the Premier League, but I think they are mainly just substitute appearances, possibly when he was still playing for Newcastle, and he's not scored in the Premier League yet. Happy to be proven wrong, but I think Everton have got this one. 2-0 to Everton. Next up, we have a bit of a Midlands derby here. Leicester against Wolves, another 3 o'clock kickoff on Saturday. Now, Leicester won this fixture by 1-0 last season thanks to a Jamie Vardy penalty, and there's only been 1 goal in the last 4 meetings between these two. Now, the last time Wolves won away from home against Leicester was on the 6th of May 2007 with a 4-1 win in the Championship. This fixture was actually the opening game for both clubs in 2019, but it ended in a very boring 0-0 draw. Leicester have won their last 6 opening matches when playing at home, last losing in 2007 by 1-0 to Blackpool, whereas Wolves are unbeaten in their last 8 opening matches, last losing by 1-0 away to Leeds in the Championship in 2012. Wolves ended last season poorly with just 1 win in their last 6 games, whereas Leicester have got their season this year off to a good start with a narrow victory over Manchester City in last Saturday's Community Shield. Now, I think this one is going to be a close match, but I do think Leicester are just going to edge it. I think it's going to be a 2-1 victory for the Foxes, possibly with their new signing Patson Daka getting a goal. He knows how to find the back of the net. I realised it was just in the Austrian Bundesliga for Red Bull Salzburg, but he managed something like 33 goals last season, and I think he'll get a decent total this season if he's given enough game time. So 2-1 to Leicester. And the final 3 o'clock kickoff of the opening weekend is New Boys Watford at home to Aston Villa. Now, this is only the 22nd meeting between these two sides in all competitions, and each team currently share 8 victories apiece. There have been at least 3 goals scored in each of the last 4 meetings between these two teams, with 5 goals being scored in both their games in the 2015-16 season. Watford won both of those 3-2. Now, Watford are unbeaten in their last 3 home matches against Villa, last losing on the 24th of August 1999 by 1-0 thanks to a Mark Delaney goal for Villa. Watford, however, have drawn 3 of the last opening day fixtures, losing 1 and winning 2, whereas Villa lost their last away opening league game in 2019 by 3-1 to Spurs. Watford come into this on pretty good form in the league. It's Championship form, so can it really carry over the Premier League? We'll have to wait and see. But they only lost 2 of their last 13 games of last season on their way to promotion back to the Premier League, and they're unbeaten at home in their last 9 matches, last losing to QPR by 2-1 in February this year. New Aston Villa signing Emiliano Buendia created the most chances in the Championship last season with 123 and led the assist charts with 16, and I believe in his 1 season in the Premier League he managed something like 84 chances created as well, which isn't too bad. On the Watford side of things, Troy Deeney has scored in all 4 of his previous Premier League games against Aston Villa, scoring 6 in total, with 3 of them being match winners. And Aston Villa's new signing Danny Ings has scored in 3 of his last 2 matches against Watford whilst he was playing for Southampton. So I've got this one as being a draw, but it's not going to be a boring draw like the Burnley-Brighton game. Oh no, there's going to be goals in this one. It's going to be 2-2. A 2-2 draw to kick off the season for both Watford and Aston Villa. I think they've got plenty of goals in them. I think Troy Deeney, if he plays for Watford, he always seems to score against Villa. Danny Ings, if he manages to play for Villa, I know he's a bit injury prone, but he's a very good striker, and you can always lean on him for a goal or 2. Next up, we have the Saturday night game. It is Norwich against Liverpool, live on Sky Sports at 5:30 p.m. Now, I'm trying to remove all sorts of bias. Of course, I'm a Liverpool fan, but I've tried to remove bias. It's not as easy as you would think. But anyway, Norwich have failed to beat Liverpool in their last 14 attempts. Last managing it on the 30th of April 1994, when I was less than a year old. That's how long ago it was when Norwich last tasted victory against Liverpool. There have been 4 or more goals in 6 of the last 8 meetings between these two clubs, and these two actually faced each other on the opening day of the 2019-20 season at Anfield, with Liverpool running out 4-1 winners that day. Norwich haven't won an opening game in the Premier League since the very first Premier League season back in 1992, where they beat Arsenal by 4-2. Liverpool have won their last 8 opening day matches, last losing 3-0 to West Brom in 2012, and have scored 4 goals in each of their last 3 opening games. At the back end of last season, Norwich only lost 2 of their final 18 games in the Championship on their way to getting promoted back up to the Premier League. Whereas Liverpool are unbeaten in 10 Premier League games since their 1-0 defeat to Fulham in March of this year. And after going through all those stats, you can imagine that I've got this down as being a Liverpool win. I've got it down as being quite a comfortable Liverpool win as well. I've said 3-1 to Liverpool. I could easily see this being 4 or 5. I'm just heading on the lower scale of things, I think, to be safer. Norwich have got a pretty decent team, but they're not going to beat Liverpool. I hope this doesn't come back to bite me on Saturday night when the game's done, but all the stats and everything is just pointing towards a Liverpool victory. The fact that Norwich haven't beaten them since 1994, Norwich haven't won an opening game since 1992, surely there's no way that Liverpool are not going to win this. 3-1 Liverpool. Next, we head up north to Newcastle, to St James's Park. It's Newcastle against West Ham, live on Sky Sports at 2 p.m. on Sunday, the 15th of August. Now, Newcastle won both league meetings between these two teams last season, winning this particular fixture 3-2 back in April. The last time that West Ham defeated Newcastle at St James's Park was on the 1st of December 2018, where they beat them 3-0. Newcastle are unbeaten in their last 5 matches against West Ham in all competitions, and there have been at least 2 goals scored in each of their last 11 Premier League meetings. These two actually met on the opening day of last season, and this will be the 3rd time they've played on an opening day of a Premier League campaign. Newcastle's Callum Wilson scored 8 times in 10 Premier League games against West Ham. This is the most he's scored against any opponent in this competition. He also got his debut goals for both Bournemouth and Newcastle against West Ham. On the West Ham side of things, Mikel Antonio could cement his place in West Ham history with a goal against Newcastle. This would make him joint top scorer in the Premier League for West Ham with 47 goals, level with the legendary Paulo Di Canio. West Ham don't have much luck in terms of opening day games. They've lost their first Premier League match of the season in each of the last 5 seasons. Looking back at last season's form, Newcastle have only lost 2 of the last 9 league games. Now, I think this one is going to be very close. Neither side's made any major moves in the transfer market, but I do think that the 52,000 crowd at St James's Park is just going to give Newcastle enough to narrowly get the win. I've got this one as being a 1-0 Newcastle win on Sunday. And finally, it's probably the biggest game of the opening weekend. It's between this one and the Man United Leeds one. It's probably this one in terms of teams that have a chance to get in the top 4, maybe. Tottenham against Man City. It's live on Sky Sports at 4:30 on Sunday. Will this be the last time that Harry Kane plays this fixture in a Spurs shirt? We'll have to wait and see. He's surely going to go to Man City, but that's for another video. So these two shared home victories last season, with Spurs winning this game by 2-0. But City have managed to win 5 of the last 8 league matches between the two. City have also won their last 10 opening games of the Premier League, last dropping points actually to Spurs in a 0-0 draw back in 2010. Spurs new manager Nuno Espirito Santo could become the 5th Spurs manager to win on their Premier League debut if he manages to defeat Manchester City. But that's going to be a tough task because Pep Guardiola is the only manager to have won all opening day fixtures amongst managers who've taken charge on 4 or more opening days. Now, even with injuries to Foden and De Bruyne keeping them sidelined, I think Manchester City are more than strong enough to beat not just this Spurs side, but any side in the league. They've literally got 2 world-class 11s in their squad. Will Harry Kane play? Will it make a difference if he does when it looks like his head is already in Manchester? I don't think it will. So I've got this one down as being a 2-1 victory for Manchester City. I think the champions are going to get off to a winning start. They're going to come back from that defeat to Leicester last Saturday and pick up 3 points this weekend. So those are my predictions. Let me know yours, as I said, in the comment section down below. Keep an eye out tomorrow, I think, for my introduction to my fantasy football team for this season. But that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel to get all my content when it comes out, hit the notification bell to stay notified, and I'll see you next time.